I was working with her as a guard about 6 years ago, and among all the employees, she trusted me the most. But that did not mean at all that she trusted me blindly or completely. When her husband died, she ordered all the employees to leave except me, perhaps because I was quite old now and I had spent a long time with her husband. Even now, I had been living with her for 6 years. Her husband was also involved in politics, and I still remember that when she got married, her husband presented her with a boxer-type dog as a gift. He was young at that time but very beautiful to look at. Dogs of this breed are usually strong, energetic and very cute to look at. And at that time, Begum Sahiba liked this dog so much that she did not let him go away from her even for a moment. He also gradually became closer and closer to her. At first he was familiar with his master, but now due to the love and attention of the mistress, he spent most of his time with his mistress. Their marriage had created a stir because they had made an impossible endeavor possible. Our master was also very happy, but he did not know that his happiness was going to be very temporary. Today the master was not with him, but that boxer Katla, a strong and tall type of Katrina Kaur, would always be with our mistress. Whenever I saw him in the arms of his mistress, I felt a strange feeling. He would lie in her arms like a calm, sensible person, sometimes walking with her. And if she was on the lawn to rest, he would climb into her lap, pampering her. It was as if I was so allowed that I could also see the internal affairs of the house, but I always found it stranger than ever to see that the mistress, who did not let anyone stray near her, was spending such a pleasant time with this dog, as if the dog and she had established a strong relationship with each other. I always thought that she had resorted to this dog to overcome the absence and loneliness of the master. But then I also wanted to know how the master suddenly died. I did not know that behind this thing there were such deep secrets hidden that could shake anyone. Until then, I had tolerated the presence of the dog out of sympathy. Until that incident happened that night. I had already guessed what he liked or disliked. The owner's family was certainly political, but she had no connection with politics. She was an educated girl living in a normal house, whom the men of the house did not even let know about the political scene. But no one knew where fate would bring her. The owner's interest in this woman began to appear, and it became so evident that he became eager to see her and meet her. Many people living close to him had also explained to him that he should stop doing this because this work could prove to be completely harmful for him. But he was so stubborn that he even sent messages secretly several times. If it had been someone else, he would have felt proud to establish relations with them. But the Pathan party to which he was affiliated clearly opposed the party. That night too I was on the lawn because I had to give the lists to the mistress in the morning for household matters, and I was sitting on the lawn compiling those lists. It was almost midnight. And usually the mistress was awake at that time. But she was in her room with her dog at the time. While sorting through the lists, I suddenly heard a loud, high-pitched scream. And I involuntarily turned towards their room because there was no one else in the whole house except me and them. The guard was also at the gate and he was not allowed to come in either. I was startled as soon as I heard this, and while I was doing this I looked towards the closed door of the window where it was waving, which seemed quite strange to me. I heard this sound only once, and after that there was a deep silence. It felt as if I was about to leave without any power, and then I was stopped. I was hesitating whether I should go in or not. Even in broad daylight, no one was allowed to go near his room, and then it was night. Anything could happen. But at that time I felt like I should know his condition because at that time no one was present in this house except me. And it was fortunate that I was still here because I used to go home at around 10 p.m. But today it was 12 o'clock in connection with some work, and after completing this work, I was planning to return. As a human being and then as an employee, I was also curious about what was going on inside. Maybe someone was harming them or they were harmed by something I did. And I have never seen them screaming like this before. After gathering my courage, I quickly got up and went inside. I intended to knock on the room and ask them about them, but I was also worried that they might not be aware of this, because they had clearly forbidden anyone to wander near their room. But at that time, I had put all my worries behind me and had taken steps towards his room, and now I intended to come back after asking him. In my heart, I was praying that Allah would keep him safe and sound. But I did not know how much it would cost me to go there. As soon as I reached the room, I was surprised once again to see that the door of the room was half open, and in the semi-darkness, some part of the room inside was clearly visible. Where the dog, which was lying in the middle of the floor, was busy looking at someone. He was constantly sticking out his tongue and panting. But it felt like no one else was there. Before I could go any further, I saw the owner coming from one side. And she pulled the dog towards her without seeing me. I quickly turned to one side, and after a while the door closed. But I was stunned to see what it was all about. The towel wrapped around his body, revealing his calves. My doubts and suspicions were constantly increasing. My mouth was open in surprise. It seemed as if my feet were frozen to the ground. When I heard the sound of the Sikhs from the room once again. Hearing the strange and poor Sikh's voice, my mind was getting very agitated. And after a while, the sound of the dog's hunger was pushing me into another world. I could not even think that the reality could be dark at night. I was there for only a moment when an unpleasant wave ran through my whole body. I was feeling strange and disgusted even while thinking about what was happening inside. And then seeing her in a semi-naked state made me extremely angry. My situation was so strange that I could not mention it to anyone, and this thing was hurting me badly inside. Allah has created her as the best of creations. First of all, she devoured her husband. This was something I could not believe until today. But today Meerawal was also ready to admit that if she could do all this, then there must be truth in the fact that she deliberately got rid of her husband so that she could strengthen her relationship by sleeping naked with this dog. Even knowing that this was becoming a serious obstacle in her political career, she never kept this dog away from her. And I always felt that due to living with this dog for a while, she was forming a heartfelt attachment to it. And it was not up to her to chase it away. But today I knew very well what the truth was, and for some reason she could not keep this dog away from herself. I quietly went back. Even after going home that night, I could not sleep. The thought kept wandering in my mind that I should curse this job. But then, for some reason, I had the feeling that the woman was breaking the law and committing a sin that could lead her to further dark deeds. After learning this secret, I should stay there and expose it so that those who consider her great, or sympathize with her. Or do you consider him innocent like me? Let them get away from the eyes of these people and let them know the true nature of this woman. And while thinking about it, I had firmly resolved in my heart that I would bring justice to my late master, and not only bring justice to him, but by staying there, I would also expose his true nature badly. I had firmly resolved in my heart that I would destroy his political career. Today, that woman who is a role model for our women should know how clear the evidence of her bad behavior is. When I reached there in the morning, while giving her breakfast once again, a strange feeling enveloped me. Looking at her again and again, I was feeling hatred and disgust, but hiding all my feelings in my heart. I was treating her with utmost respect and dignity, as if I had respected and honored her before. But it was true that there was a clear difference between the respect and honor between now and before. Now I was verbally respecting Amna and constantly cursing her from the heart. And whatever my doubts were, the scratches around her neck and arms now made up for it. I had understood very well for what purpose she was keeping this dog so close to her and what activities she was involving her in. Nor would a respectable and virtuous woman suspect that she would get naked in front of a dog and establish indecent relations with it. He was also present with her. Every time he would sit with her and eat, and she would tell me to put food and drink items in front of the dog. This time, I kept all those items in front of the dog and glared at him with angry eyes, although he was very beautiful to look at, but still I hated him inside. But then the thought came to my mind that he was a beast. He did not understand what was good and what was bad. I thought that this was a secret, which had been revealed to me, but I did not know that such deeper secrets were about to be revealed to me, which I had never imagined. She belonged to a different political party from Malik, and she belonged to that tribe of Pathans which was famous for its customs and traditions. Those people who, in the name of honor and pride, would kill a woman but would not let their traditions go down even a little. Malik trusted me immensely and lived with him. That is why it was not possible for him to establish a relationship with the Pathans without changing his political party. But his political career was dearer to him than his own life, and neither did he want to give up this girl. I don't know where he came to know about her and how he came to know about her. One day, in conversation, he was telling a close friend that the girl was also in love with him and that they both wanted to marry each other. I was very surprised by his decision even then. The two were not so foolish that they would have made any decision without thinking. Of course, they must have thought a lot and then started establishing a relationship with this girl by putting their entire political career at stake. Their relationship was only to the extent of messages. Sometimes, they would secretly meet outside, but they had not yet revealed this to the extent that it would come to the attention of people. And they also knew very well that the day this matter reached the media, that day, Madeline would take it so well that she would lose her love. Therefore, they had tried their best to keep this incident hidden from the media. They had finished talking and the girl had also told them that her family would never. They will not establish a relationship with her. For this purpose, he used his influence to secretly marry this girl so that even if the word spread tomorrow, she would not be able to stay away from him. A man's love is love. And love is something that should be done without any kind of race, caste, or color. And I had realized very well that all the other girls he has spent time with or established relationships with are temporary. Looking at this girl, he has sacrificed his heart and soul for her, and now, no matter how much effort he had to make, no matter how much opposition he had to face, he has achieved this girl. But I did not know what color their love would bring now and what further losses they would have to bear. This continued for a few months, and then suddenly one of his friends told this news and the news reached the media. What should not have happened happened. But this was the end of what had happened. After all, one day or another, this truth had to come out, so it was out in the open. The media hyped this thing so much that people started to be curious. In various interviews, when people asked him about it and opposed it, he would either deny it and spread such news, or he would just say no. While people were still suspicious of the girl when they heard a news, people were opposing it and spreading such news. While hearing such news, the girl's brothers were furious. They wanted to deny all these rumors by getting their sister involved with someone as soon as possible. And they started making efforts to achieve this. The owner agreed to everything, but he did not agree at all that the girl would belong to someone else or that any kind of abuse would happen to the girl. So when he heard various news from around, one day, taking courage, he confessed to all these news. And during an interview, he told that he wanted to get married to Zuryaz Khan's sister. And this thing became fuel on the fire. Now he clearly knew that the girl would be tortured or she might face problems. So he secretly reached her house that same evening. And not only did he show her the marriage certificate and confirm that he had married her sister, but also said that if he tried to harm her in any way, he himself would be responsible for it. And the girl's brother also knew very well that now the matter had come into the hands of the media. If the girl had been punished in any way, or if she had been harmed in any way, the media would have picked up on it and declared him a criminal. So he was in a great difficulty. And then her elder brother Zuryaz Khan, showing great heart, made a statement to the media that although he was opposed to her party, he still loved his sister immensely and put her decision before his own. He once again got his sister married in front of everyone, but expressing his displeasure over her secret marriage, he completely distanced her from him as punishment. And he told her that she could no longer come to his house or meet him. It was a matter of great joy for him that his brothers accepted his decision. He firmly believed that one day the enmity between them would also end. Her brothers willingly gave her a large sum of money as a wedding gift, an apartment and, according to the traditions and customs of the place, a maidservant with her. She was to live with him and serve him for the rest of her life. It was their custom that whenever sisters and daughters were married, the mother's family would send a special maidservant with them who would be the special maidservant of the girl and would always be there to obey her. The mistress was extremely beautiful and perhaps it was her beauty that was enough to captivate the owner. The owner solved all the political opponents that arose with his wisdom and the two were very happy with each other. At the time of the wedding itself, the owner had presented the mistress with a boxer breed as a gift. For some time after the wedding, they were completely fine. When one night this dark news arose and spread ink everywhere. That day, Malik was secretly poisoned and when he woke up in the morning, he was gone. This was news that shook people. No one could have imagined that it would happen so quickly and suddenly. People were 100% in agreement that no outsider could have done this to him because he always kept himself and his family completely safe. Some people said that his wife had poisoned him because she belonged to a different party and he had married her in opposition to her. However, the media spread all the rumors. These rumors subsided after a while. But Malik is no longer with us. As always, I am deeply saddened by his death. His death is a mystery that has not been solved till date. Some people said that he committed suicide and some said that his death was a natural death. While the news was also spread everywhere that his wife had poisoned him. I had seen with my own eyes that after the owner, he was in a state of mourning for a while. And then, strengthening himself, he took a step that shocked everyone. He fired all the servants, especially those who lived close to him in the house. And he also fired the servants who interfered in the house. There was no one except me and the guard, who was confined to guarding outside the house. At the owner's funeral, Zuryaz Khan was also present, but after that, he never came to his sister nor was his sister ever seen going to him. I liked his decision very much that he took over the leadership of the owner's party. Not only did he take over, but he was also carrying out his responsibilities as a good person. And this thing once again created a stir among the people that maybe they killed him to take his place. But I don't know why I didn't believe what people said until then. I always thought that if she had to kill the owner, Why would she stay here after killing him and take his place? If she did everything for her brothers, she would have had to return to her brothers, or her brothers would have supported her at some point, but at the moment, nothing like that was visible. I had heartfelt sympathy for her and I always honored her as a trust from her owner. Until I saw everything that shocked me. I could not even imagine that she could do all this. Earlier, rumors had been rife from her opponents that she always kept this dog with her to make up for the lack of a husband. And at that time, I reacted the worst to these news. Because as soon as I heard all this, my body was on fire. I always saw her as a respectable woman. And in political opposition, it is not appropriate to raise a finger at someone's honor, and that too with such a dirty accusation. But today the truth was in front of me and Mirawal wanted me to shout in front of the people that the rumors you people are spreading are 100% true. I don't know how long this series had been going on and how long it would continue. She was enjoying herself on the owner's immense wealth and getting her needs fulfilled by animals. Of course, she had no need of anyone. That is why she never kept in touch with anyone, nor did she let anyone come close to her. Although as beautiful as she was, anyone could have fallen in love with her and adopted her. Age had not spoiled her at all. She still looked transparent and young. In fact, her personality had become even more terrifying than before. For people, she may be respectable, but for me, she was a woman who had no place in this world or the hereafter. For this reason, this woman, under the guise of her innocence, even killed her husband. But I did not have any proper evidence yet, so I had to remain silent. And then everything happened after that, which no one could have guessed. One day, she suddenly disappeared from home, along with her dog, and the two without telling anyone. There was a stir. The reason for her disappearance was because her opponents emphasized rumors and people associated with her said that she had fallen into some trouble. She used to go out of the house before, so she did not take much protocol. But this time, she did not tell anyone, so her disappearance was worrying. The good news of you had reached the hands of the media once again. And he was spreading the medicine among the people by spraying it. But today it had been 2 days, and there was no news of her. The surprising thing was that the brothers who did not consider her their sister till now were also looking for her like crazy after she disappeared. And they were giving interviews on various newspapers and TV that they would not tolerate any kind of mistreatment of their sister but would get her back as soon as possible. But there was no sign of her as yet. The police were constantly busy in their efforts. All the people who were suspicious were picked up and questioned. But no one had any news. All the employees in this house were also questioned. But it was surprising that according to the report of the CCTV cameras, she left the house safely and did not return. I was even suspecting that she might have left here to openly fulfill her life's luxuries. But whatever it was, I couldn't open my mouth and say anything without proof. Because I was well aware of my position and the times. And then after 5 consecutive days the truth came out which shook everyone. The mistress had been kidnapped about 5 days ago today. Due to suspicion, when her own brothers were questioned, it was revealed that her abductor was none other than her own brothers. This truth was surprising everyone, but what the situation was, only her statements could explain. And then the statement he made shocked everyone. No one could have imagined that the truth could be so bitter. That day, the police, interviewers and many representatives were present in front of him, when he started telling the truth in his own words and everyone was stunned.